Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another discussion video. In today's video, I want to go over the yellow Gohan stuff coming out in set 11 Vermilion Bloodline, as well as some of the other yellow cards in the set. I think we'll give Garlic his own video, but we'll see how this video goes. Guys, if you are new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a video. If you want to help the channel out, there are tons of ways to do that down in the description below. Make sure to check out the Gemmy app, the Patreon, if you want one-on-one coaching with yours truly, as well as your cross-world competitive content. If you guys need sleeves, deck boxes, binders, any of that card protection stuff, make sure to check out deck protection in the description. And finally, guys, if you want to buy or pre-order any of the cards we talk about in today's video, make sure to use my link in the description to TCG Player. That being said, let's get started with the yellow Gohan leader. So we have another archetype that revolves around Skilless. This is possibly the third archetype you can say that revolves around Skilless. You have obviously Bonds of Friendship Son Goku. You can say like the Universe 4 stuff from Draft Box 5 kind of revolves around Skilless as well. This would probably be the third archetype, but really this is going to be the second main archetype that does it, and I think it actually does it very, very well. As we read through the card effects, we'll see how that kind of works. So Gohan, yellow, 10k leader, permanent during your turn. If you have a Skilless battle card in play, this card gains 5,000 power. Very strong there, very similar to the plus 5k that Bonds of Friendship Goku gets for free every turn. When this card attacks, draw one, then add up to one card from lights to your hand. Excellent effect, attack, draw, and then the option is Awaken. That's always going to be a very solid ability. Awaken when it's 4 or less, you may draw 2 cards and flip over. This is the one thing I'm a little hesitant on with this leader, you know, being a yellow leader and being that this whole block of sets now for the next at least, you know, set 10, set 11, set 12, they really want to push monocolor decks. So being yellow and not being able to awaken and untap energy does seem a little bit problematic, although as we read through the rest of the cards, I think it'll be a little bit apparent that you don't necessarily have to play mono yellow, which actually is pretty cool for deck building. So on the backside, Son Gohan and Higher Dragon Boundless Friendship. We have 2 activates. Activate main once per turn, draw 1 card, then play up to 1 yellow Skilless battle card at a cost of 1 from your drop area. Okay, this is incredible. Your leader basically says activate main, draw 2 cards. Like, even if the 10k Skilless doesn't threaten the opponent's leader, it's still a free 5k combo that you wouldn't have had otherwise. That's an incredible effect. Activate main once per turn when this card's in a battle. If there is a monster card in your combo area, draw 1. Okay, so we know that Higher Dragon is probably going to be a monster. We'll read that as we get to it. We got to check, though, if there are other monsters in the game that you can use this ability. But besides that, I mean, activate main, draw 2, and activate battle, somewhat like a Hercule type of effect. This leader is going to draw a lot of cards, which I'm pretty excited about. Son Goku, forever in our memories. This is probably a unison meant to pair with the leader, so let's give it a read. We have a 3-drop 15k unison, permanent if your leader is yellow, all of your battle cards and your opponent's battle cards with original energy costs of 5 or less have their skills negated, and all of your battle cards under cost of 1 get 5,000 power. Okay, we just talked about the 1-drop 10k Skillesses not being able to threaten awaken leaders. Well, the plus 5k power fixes that problem, so that's very good. Now, there is a weird thing with this permanent. People aren't sure if it's like all your battle cards and then all your opponent's battle cards, specifically 5 or less, are negated, or if all battle cards 5 or less are negated. The way it's worded and the way that things have been ruled in the past, you know, with things like or separating the card effect, kind of throws a wrench in that, so we'll have to probably wait for like an FAQ on that. The plus or minus 0, activate main, play up to 2 yellow Skilless battle cards under cost of 1 from your drop area. Great value effect, getting 2 cards for, you know, basically no energy. Minus 2, activate main. If your leader card's yellow, your opponent can only attack with battle cards once during their next turn. Okay, this unison seems okay, but you can't get markers on it with its own effects. You have to put like another copy of this card underneath itself, and I feel like that's a little bit problematic because a 3-drop 15k unison with 3 markers or even 1 marker if you use the minus 2 effect, not very difficult to remove at all. You know, we've seen that from the most recent tournaments. It's just very easy to remove a unison of this caliber. What I will say is this deck can probably benefit from the Goku Jr. Vegeta Jr. unison out of Anniversary Box. It has very similar effects. It plays Skilless from the deck, so that's quite good. So maybe you'd play that instead of this. I think one of the main problems with that, though, is if you don't play yellow unison in this Gohan deck, you're going to miss out on the SS4 Vegeta Primal Transformation counterplay. And that is a really big thing to weigh there. Now, of course, I think you can play other yellow unisons. You don't have to play this Goku GT unison. You could maybe play like the Gogeta 2-drop unison. You could maybe play the Vegeta unison from the expansion. You could possibly even play Makikabura. So your options are pretty open there to get that SS4 Vegeta Primal Transformation. But I think that Goku Jr. Vegeta Jr. is going to provide a lot of value for the deck. So one or the other, maybe a combination of both. We'll see what ends up happening with that. Like I said, I think this could be a multicolor deck. I think it could be more than one color. Baby Resolute Avenger, 3 drop 15k unison, blocker, permanent. If you have 2 or more yellow battle cards in play in rest mode, this card and your yellow leader card get 20,000 power. So that's going to be during both players' turns. So similar to Gogeta Unison, where your leader can get a 5k boost on your opponent's turn, this just has a little bit of a different kind of a way to activate that. +1 activate main at the end of your turn, switch this card to active mode. -2 activate main if the leader card's yellow, choose up to 1 of your mono yellow battle cards with energy cost of 5 or less and switch it to active mode. Definitely not a bad -2 effect. Giving something dual attack, you know, especially if it's a really devastating attacker, is quite good. The +1 basically gets you an extra block, but you're gonna probably lose that marker immediately if you do choose to block. So that's a little weird. I wouldn't say the card's bad, but I wouldn't say this is like the best yellow unison we've ever seen. Gohan and Higher Dragon, flying high, 6 drop 25k, unique dual attack, permanent. If this card be removed from a battle area, it sends the owner's warp instead. I do wonder why they felt like they had to put that restriction on this card, but you know, maybe we'll see that as we go through. Permanent, all of your yellow skillless battle cards under cost of 1 gain 5,000 power. Again, fixing the problem of 1 drop 10k skilllesses that can't threaten leaders. Activate main, pay a yellow. If you have 3 or more energy, and choose 2 of your yellow skillless battle cards under cost of 1 and place them in their owner's drop areas, play this card from your hand. Okay, cheating out a 6 drop for 1, you know, you had to have 3 energy, but that's still really incredible value. Putting the 1 drop 10k skilllesses into the drop area to then just later be brought back via like Goku Jr., Vegeta Jr., or any of the other things we've seen here that do that. That's going to be very, very strong. Sun Gohan skillless. What's really funny about this is there's also another Sun Gohan skillless from I think it's Clash of Fates. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But basically the same card, even though they are technically different cards because they have different set numbers. But if you want to play this Art of Sun Gohan or another Art of Sun Gohan, you can do that. And I don't actually think you need to play like Gohan skilllesses in this. I don't really think I think you can play any 1-drop skillless you want in this deck, which is kind of cool. I guess you do have to play Higher Dragon though, because he is the monster. He does give you the ability to draw and combo when you're on your leader's awakened side. We do have to definitely see if there's more monster cards that fit this criteria. Hopefully they're in, you know, yellow as a 1 or 2 drop, but we'll see as we get there. So moving along, we're only reading the Gohan stuff. We'll save the Garlic stuff for another video. Exceptional ability Pan. This is a 1-drop blocker. If you control a yellow unison when you play this card, draw 1. This card's a little bit weird because, you know, the blockers, it seems like they're much better early on in the game. I will definitely say that a blocker that draws 1 is something we haven't seen much before in the game. So having that early versus late game, it seems pretty good in either scenario. But we did talk about in Yellow Gohan how you might not even end up playing a yellow unison. So this card could not be so great in decks like that, but actually I can see this card being pretty good in a deck like Yellow Gotenks, where you just want to play value and you really do want to get a unison down as early as possible, you know, specifically Gogeta unison. So playing Pan there, getting the draw, getting the blocker to save your unison, because let's be honest, Gogeta unison dies pretty easily. So getting that out there, I would say, is pretty solid. All right guys, I've done a search here on the Dragon Ball Super card list. If you guys didn't know about this card list, by the way, that is provided by Bandai. When you just type into Google Dragon Ball Super card list, this whole search engine comes up. You can enter a lot of different search words, like keyword searches. So you can search like critical, double strike, triple strike, those kinds of things. You can type in the specific card name you want, the set that they're in. All the different sets are listed right there. You can go by card type, combo power, which is actually a pretty specific one, color, character, combo energy, like era, even though era is not like a super important keyword in the game. There are lots of really cool ways you can search cards with this database, and this is actually a really cool thing that Bandai has for the game that a lot of other card games that I've experienced don't have. So I just want to throw a quick kudos to them. But anyways, I did a search for all cards in the game that have this special trait monster. So I want to see if there are other ways to trigger Gohan's draw on the backside, you know, besides this. So Natade Village Monster, yeah, it's red. I don't really think you're going to be able to make a lot of use out of that. You know, the cool thing is the leader doesn't specify yellow monster, so maybe you play it just to get the draw 1 5k. I mean, I could think of worse things to play for sure. That could actually be a potential thing you do in this deck just to get the draw out of it. I mean, you'll never play the Village Monster, but 5k combo that draws a card doesn't actually seem all that bad. So maybe that'll work out. I mean, heck, even maybe you can play red yellow in this deck. I don't think that would be too bad either. So maybe that's a possibility. What's really interesting though is I actually just noticed by reading the special trait here on the leader is he's a Saiyan, Earthling, Monster, and Rider. So we haven't seen any card effects that have to do with riders yet, but we know they decided to give him this special trait. So with that in mind, there's probably gonna be something, maybe like a tournament pack card, maybe a promo card, maybe an expansion that has to do with him being a rider. Maybe there's gonna be like a series of Dragon Ball characters riding different, you know, various animals and things like that. That'd actually be pretty cool. So going through the monsters, so this Sun Gohan Higher Dragon is considered a monster. So actually, this is a 1-drop 10k pseudo combo in Yellow Gohan, which actually, in my opinion, is quite cool. So I didn't really realize that before when I was reading the card the first time around. Although it seems like you really want to play this card down, although they did give it unique, so you cannot spam this card. So if you have this card on the board and as early as turn 3, it can be kind of difficult for your opponent to remove it from the field. So with that in mind, you're gonna have this on the field. You can't play any other copies. So 1-drop 10k pseudo combo, that's gonna be pretty solid in my opinion. And the fact that it's on both players' turns, I like that a lot. And it seems like the last monster in the entire game is the Yellow Higher Dragon here. So are we going to be playing Natade Village Monster? Well, if I go through the scenarios in my head, I don't think Red Yellow would be too bad for this deck. I mean, maybe you don't want to charge a multicolor turn 1, and that's always the problem, right? Now that we're in this type of game where multicolor has been kind of phased out for the past few tournaments now, like ever since set 10, multicolor actually has not seen as much representation as I thought it would. I really thought it would actually keep up with a lot of the set 10 monocolor stuff, but the monocolor stuff, you're able to be so much more efficient. Having an actual turn 1 play in a lot of these decks means a lot. Now, you could look at something like Zamasu, Blue Zamasu. They oftentimes just don't play anything on turn 1, and that is, you know, pretty much fine for that deck because the leader later on makes up that value by attacking twice and drawing twice. But my point is, you know, multicolor now seems a little bit more like a hindrance than anything else. And I kind of hate to say it, but it is kind of the fact of the matter here. I think in this deck, you're probably going to very much so want to play cards on turn 1. So maybe charging red yellow turn 1 is not going to be so great. That being said, though, I mean, maybe charging a manual red on one, or no, sorry, probably a manual yellow, so you can start playing your 1-drop skillesses, and then maybe playing like the warp lands if you can get cards into the drop area efficiently. Maybe that can work out. I'll have to definitely experiment with it. But what really seems good about this leader is playing like blue yellow and not having to charge a blue yellow turn 1. Like maybe you even will charge blue yellow turn 1. But besides that, I do think this is definitely a deck that can fit multicolor if it wanted to. But guys, I want to know in the comments below what you think. I actually have a lot of thoughts for this leader, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time.